Good morning. When is the best time to harvest Egyptian onion bulb from the ground? It might depend on your zone. Here in zone 5-8, today is July 10, 2022, and I will say in our zone, July is the best time to harvest the bulb from the ground if you want to do so. However, when you do that, you may not give enough time to the bubbles on top to reach their maturity, in my opinion, because the main stem is still growing. So to me, those baby bulbs are still feeding from the mother bulb in the ground. Therefore, because I like to propagate those baby onions, I like to wait for most of the stem to start turning yellow. So it is my cues that I can harvest those baby onions to replant. Another way I do that as well is once I start seeing new growth from the ground, I know it's time for me to start harvesting those baby onions to replant. But that is when you are looking for the best time to start planting those bubbles to propagate or to increase your patch, your onion patch. But if you are thinking about harvesting the onion from the ground, I will say in zone 5A, July might be the best month for that because they are kind of hard in the ground already. So it will be the best time to harvest them before they start growing back again, late summer or early fall. But another thing I like to point out as well is, even though I think the bubbles are not done feeding from the mother, we can see that they start showing new growth, even though they are still feeding from the mother bulb. They are showing new growth as well. So I will say that if I peel these bubbles to replant, it will continue to grow. But right now, it might still pulling energy from the mother bulb. But it's not that only. Oh, I think I bent that one. But you can see this one as well. And even sometimes you will see a little white root underneath where they are connected to the stem. You will see some little root growing from there as well. It's just kind of amazing. If you are growing Egyptian working onion, you can go in your garden and just observe them, watch them grow to see the different stage of their growth. So, but today we wanted to talk about if you want to harvest the mother bulb from the ground, when is the best time for that? I've been doing that already just for eating a few because I use the leaves in my cooking and fresh eating or raw eating. But since it is summer and they are not putting energy into leaves, but they are growing their bubbles, you won't find leaves from them. So if you want to harvest few bulbs to cook with or to eat, your best bet will be either harvesting the bubbles, which I've been doing as well. They are edible. You can harvest few to peel and eat, and I can just peel one of them here, and you can try to do that without pulling everything if that's your intention. And you can just peel the first layer off, and you'll be able to have the onion to chop and add to your food. So if you don't want to do that and you want to harvest from the ground, what I'm trying to do is I will come around and look to see the plants that don't have bubbles. Because some of them in the first year, For instance, those baby ones, when you plant them, they may not grow bubbles the first year, like next year. So I will come around to look to see which one are not growing bubbles. And this one is an example of one. So that's the one that I will try to harvest the mother bulb to add to my food. So you can see that's this one, and I will just trying to look at the to locate the bulb at the ground level. So that's this one. And at the ground level, that's it, this one. Let me see if I can bring you. Okay, let me get this plant out of the way. And gently, I will just move a little bit because the ground is not too hard. I will just move a little bit and then I will be able to pull it out. And they are usually the size of French shallots. And I like just to peel those top layers off before I take it inside. And it's hard, so that's the best time to harvest them before they start growing from the ground. So I will not recommend you harvest to store for winter use. They don't last long in storage. I mean, when you are done planting the bubbles, you can keep some in your. You can take some to store for eating, but you are not going to store it for too long. After a few weeks, they will dry inside, and yeah, pretty much they dry inside, and they'll just be empty inside. So they don't. The gypsy working onion doesn't last long in storage, so they are best left in the ground. So if you are trying to grow your garden with the intention, with the goal to save money in your groceries, you might want to think of a sustainable way to eat your onion. That way, over time, you'll have enough supply of Egyptian walking onion and thrive in your garden, and you won't need to purchase onion from the grocery store. So that's money you save that you can use to purchase something else you do not grow that you purchase. So without increasing your grocery budget, even though prices increasing at the grocery store, you'll keep your grocery budget the same while you grow some of your own food yourself, but in a sustainable way that they'll keep coming back year after year. You won't have to keep purchasing the seeds to replant. So that's the best time to harvest the bulbs. But again, because I talk about growing your garden to save money in groceries, I like to focus more on harvesting your vegetables or fruits whatever you are growing in a way that they can keep coming back for you. So harvesting all the bulb from the ground, well, is now leading you to have onion patch year after year. So at least in our zone, I do not bother the mother onion. The only time I will harvest them from the ground is if I want to, to take some out of this patch to plant elsewhere. But I don't need to do that. I just need to wait on the bubbles to harvest them and plant where I think I want to plant them. And you can see that the garden where they are growing is quite much. So I clean up some area of the house and I dump those leaves and brown matter there as well. But I mean, we do have a lot of wild plant growing among them, and when times to times I come here to cut them down, I just leave them break down in place. We have a lot of thistle and this airplane seeds that is growing here. I don't know if that's maple or what, but yeah, a lot of thistle growing in here, and I will cut them down and let them break down in place and turn those nutrients they pull from the ground back to it. So, and I'm just looking here, some of the plants may not, I'm looking here and I'm seeing this plant here, make me wonder if they are growing back, but yeah, you just have to keep observing your garden and see when is the best time to harvest the bulb from the ground if you want to eat some of them. But if you want to increase your patch, you might be very light on your harvesting so that you do not harvest a lot of them. And if you have some that are not growing bubbles, then you can pull them from the ground for eating. But you don't need to harvest the bulbs, dry them in the shade and replant them in fall. They are very good left alone in the ground. And you don't have, they just save you time. You don't need to harvest them and replant them. You just leave them alone. In summer, when they are done feeding their baby bulb, they'll just stay there. When it's the right time for them to start growing, you'll just start seeing new growth back from the ground, and that's the right time to harvest the baby onions. But we'll talk about that when the time comes and start planting them as well. But if you want to eat onion, what I notice is in summertime I can cook without onion. I don't have it at all. That's the things. We want to grow our garden, grow some of our food so that we lower our grocery budget. And over time, there are things we do not purchase anymore at the grocery store. Onion and garlic are two of them. So when I don't have green leaves to harvest from the onion, from the Egyptian walking onion, I just cook without onion. But in spring, I harvest a lot of those leaves, chop them, rinse them, chop them, and put them in freezer bag and put them in the freezer for winter use. And then I continue to harvest from the garden for cooking right away. So even though I have onion in the freezer, I'm not using them really. I mean, you can use it, or you can use it time to time depending on what you want to cook, but I prefer to keep them for winter. So I'm not using onion in my cooking. Most of the time, I will just come here and harvest those baby bulbs and chop them freshly and put them on the food that is served. So, but if you have leftover from last winter that you have not used, you can continue using those in your cooking. Days that it's raining, you don't want to come outside. But yeah, in summer, I noticed that in summer, if you start growing Egyptian onion with the objective to start buying onion from the grocery store, in summer you may not have you may not have enough supply of onion in your garden because they won't have green leaves for you. But after a month, you'll be able to start harvesting few of those bubbles to eat or to cook with, and then after another month you'll start seeing new growth again. When they reach about a foot, then that's your cue that you need to start harvesting them and chop them and put them in a freezer bag for winter use. But yes, in summertime it tends to be very low in green leaves. You can still find few from the plants that are now growing bubbles, but the ones that are growing bubbles, they will stop putting energy into the leaves. So if you didn't harvest your leaves in spring, once late spring, you are close to late spring, they won't be really harvestable. You see the way they turn kind of yellowish color, so it's not really the best state of the leaves you wanted to eat. So you want to harvest them, or they are not getting enough energy, or they are just contributing to this one's growth. So if you don't harvest them, they'll just break down back in place. So you will need to harvest them in spring. And that's the beauty of having a sustainable garden or growing your own food, to save some money in your groceries. When people are planting in spring, you'll spend your time harvesting, and you have to really harvest quickly because those greens, they grow so fast. You don't harvest them, they'll just start fading like that. So, and planting is a lot of work. Harvesting and processing is a lot of harvesting is a lot of work. Processing is a lot of work as well. So, but you don't want to plant your things and let them go to waste. So, yeah, if you are wondering if you should harvest the bulbs from the ground and replant, no, you do not. Just let them do their own things. Unless you want to eat some of the mother bulb, let them do their own things in the ground and start growing back in fall for you. And you harvest the bubbles and plant them in area that you want to have them as well. So, but if you don't want to eat some of the mother bulbs, you just leave them alone and save that energy for later, to put to use later. Thank you so much for your time. And they are very easy to grow. I don't even know how to explain it. Like, we do not water them. And they have been here for some years now. I've been growing them since 2014. But this area where they are, they have not been here since 2014. So I just try to plant them in different areas of the garden. I have them throughout the garden, and they just choose, the area that they like to grow. They will flourish in some area of your garden more than others. So even though we have a lot of wild plant growing among them, they are still doing their own things. So thank you so much for your time. Yes, you can grow your own garden to save money in groceries. It takes time. You just have to keep the end goal in mind and work toward that. Thank you so much. You all that subscribe to our channel, thank you for your time. I'm Afiavi, Liberman, creators of Liberman Consulting, L.L.C. YouTube channel. and ninasoup.com. So our goal is to share with you different ways you can save money and different ways you can make money to reach your financial independence, where you do not depend on the income from your job to provide for your family. Thank you so much for all your comments.